Uh, so my name is Arul, and we've been doing this program. Just a little introduction. We've been running a few sessions. So last week we ran on fear. So this one is on jealousy. So we are doing this as a people first initiative, which has been there for 26 years. It's a consulting firm which is into training, coaching, and talent hiring. So we're just using this forum to interact with a few people and actually share stuff that we have learned over the years. And we are picking some very basic and simple stuff. So, for example, last year we just explored fear, and the take we took was fears. People generally want to get rid of it, but how do we live with it and get to understand it deeper? So today is jealousy. This is a very, maybe I would say, an largely unexplored topic. But the angle we are taking here is that it's a sweet emotion. So maybe so the take of all these 30-minute sessions we're doing is about a practice. So we can keep talking and talking and talking, but at the end of the day, nothing would come unless there is a practice that settles in. So that's again the same thing we will do today, but we will pick it with a few examples. Say, for example, you meet somebody, who looks better, who looks really good. We'll take very simple examples first, and you experience a pang of jealousy. Now, normally we are, told that jealousy is not good. You feel a little bit guilty and all that, but that's fine. That's the human goodness that we have. But if you can go a little bit deeper, jealousy it's a sweet emotion. So if somebody looks good and you feel a little bit jealous, it's just expressing a need of yours, a need of yours, that a desire of yours. We'll begin there and then we'll take it a little bit higher later. So you just recognize a little bit desire, like, hey, you also want to look good. Now, you can get lost with the other person, which is what people generally do. They either secretly admire the person or they start resisting the other person because there's a tang of jealousy that comes in. Or, for example, let us say that you really want to become friendly with somebody, and no matter how much you try, that you're not able to become friends with the other person. But that person, say, for example, Gauri, is very close with somebody else, and you experience a pang of jealousy. Now, there is nothing wrong about jealousy at all. It's just a very sweet thing that you want to get to know Gauri better. You want to become friends with Gauri better. If it is left at that, there is no problem. Of course, we have to acknowledge that Gauri has a choice of whether she wants to become close with us or not, and we have to honor that. But the where it gets into a problem is that we are not able to express it, neither are we denying it, and then whenever Gauri is talking with the other person, we feel not at ease. And if it's part of the same friends group, there's a little bit of anger, irritation, harsh words exchange. That this is the difficulty that generally comes with jealousy. But otherwise, if we go a little bit deeper, I was thinking, what do we do as a practice here? And to keep things simple, I've just put it down as a four-step practice. A, there is a person around whom we feel jealous. Okay. Now, actually, what happens is we may not even detect Gauri. We may be feeling jealous with Ramesh, for example, who is very close with Gauri. Okay. And then we experience a certain pang of irritation around Ramesh, and then we get entangled. Entanglement is the problem with jealousy, and then it comes out in different kinds of forms. But if we were to step back, so the first thing for us to recognize is when there is a jealousy, what's our aspiration? What do we want? Aspiration is slightly higher, desire is the beginning point. If we just look at it and ask, what's the aspiration? It'll be like, hey, I want to become friends with the Gauri. So this is the first two steps. The third and fourth I'll come to a little bit later. There is a person, and most often the person with whom we are experiencing jealousy is not the person from whom we can derive the aspiration. You have to trace it to the source of the person. So in this case, it's not Ramesh. It's Ramesh closeness with Gauri, and our bonding, or the source of the jealousy actually is not Ramesh but Gauri. And the moment we come there, the next is a great opportunity what is the aspiration, what is the desire, what is the need. Uncovering the aspiration is the first breakthrough. Okay, there's the first breakthrough here, which means that, hey, uh, I want to become close with Gauri. Now if you leave it here, still we could get into entanglements. Now is where maybe I'll do the I'll show the steps, and then I'll take multiple examples, and then if somebody wants to come in into the studio room, the link has been posted on events, we could have a deeper chat, you know. The next is impersonalize it. Don't take it too personal. Okay? Because always Gauri, if you narrow it down to Gauri, 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 you may run into trouble. So then you impersonalize it and ask, what exactly is it that, I'm feeling connected to Gauri? Okay? So it's like a particular person. The person is very caring. The person is very emotional, very compassionate. And I have not tasted that yet. I've gone through, relationships where, I had my own mother, for example, or you had your own father, for example, siblings and friends. But yet, what you see in Gauri is like a pure form of, compassion and care, and you want to taste it. The moment you impersonalize it like that, it becomes very clear to you what your aspiration is. Otherwise, it could move into more of a desire. This is the difference in my understanding between desire and aspiration. In desire, it is centered around that person, and often it could lead to that angle of possessiveness. You want that time with Gauri, and if you don't get, it's gone. And if Gauri refuses, your advancements to get to know her or to become friends with her, you become dejected because you have taken it too personal. The moment you impersonalize it, you go to the true, that the desire moves more towards an aspiration that you want to experience close friendship with somebody and truly experience that state of acceptance, of caring, of compassion. Then we are still on step two. The desire moves to an aspiration. Okay, I'll do three and four, and then we'll see if somebody is willing to chat, or I'll take a couple of more examples. The third is shift the focus to self. This is the error that many don't do. They get lost on the other and thus lose a lot of energy. Because the thing is that as human beings, what we have not understood is our awareness is extraordinarily precious. And whatever we put our attention on, our energy goes there. Which is why, for example, film actors and actresses, they not only gain a lot of power and popularity. My hypothesis also, they start looking good because too many people are putting their attention on them. It's a hypothesis, not verified. Okay, but nevertheless, what I know for sure is when people are putting the attention on others, the others gain power, they gain energy. And if you're not connected, if you're not nourished sufficiently, you lose power. So instead of losing power, in this way of jealousy, if you slowly shift your awareness to yourself, okay, now you take responsibility for your aspiration. You really want to experience care, you really want to experience compassion, and that's such a very beautiful experience. So you go in search of Gauri, and if you're not able to get Gauri, you have an open world. You have so many different people of many different age groups, kids, grandfathers, grandmothers, with whom you can friends, with whom you can explore and see whether you can experience that state. So now the choices are more open. Okay, this is the third step of shifting the awareness to self. Okay, and the fourth step is very simple. Like, so for example, if taking the same thing, one of the people, I have not met this person, nor I have read much, nor I've even seen many YouTube videos, but one or two that I've seen about this person who people referred as Mata Amritamai. I've often seen that there is tons of, I mean, she's also referred as the hugging saint, for example. Whatever I've seen very briefly for a few seconds, I've seen tons of compassion and care exuding from a human. So the fourth step is a source from where I can learn how to, connect to this state of care and compassion. Or in another way, it could be that the moment you get your aspiration, that's the second step. You move from desire to aspiration. The third step, you bring the focus to yourself. So, which means you have to learn, how to get or experience that particular thing that you're aspiring for. And the fourth is the source. Who can teach you that? Which book can guide you? Who can mentor you around how you can reach that? The fourth is a source or a guide. This is what I have. I've not necessarily. So I have also gone through jealousy at different points of time. The one that I quickly have always done is aspiration. The third, also, what I've done I've never done it in steps like these. This is just to a way of articulation. But always I've moved to the aspiration, and always I've seen what exactly is the thing that I'm aspiring for, and then I slowly shift into a way that I equip myself to either acquire it, get it, if that is an object, or if it is a experience that I need, or it is about becoming worthy of experience that particular emotion or something that I'm looking for. I'll just pause here and see if anybody does anybody have a question. I mean, there was Vivek here. He's not here right now. Maybe he's on the LinkedIn outside. If yeah, Vivek, yeah, is there, if there's any question, or if you want to go, we can just have a chat here, and it'll be more meaningful.
Well, it's like we do have a lot of connections in our life from our parents, friends, and whatever new relations we make. So, we tend to get confused, or you can say we get dejected, or we are not able to build a good relationship with people, and with a lot of factors are there, and even our self bias. So how to like connect with people so that we can maintain a good relationship for a long time?
It's a good question. So I have also learned this to struggle. Like, so for example, if I just share a little personally, up to my school, it was always fine. I could relate to almost anybody, and I was very carefree. I never bothered whether somebody reciprocated my friendship or not. I was very carefree, and I was not looking at anything at all. Also true in college. I took a decision when I went to college that I will not fall in love with anybody. I thought I was too young. So it was just, friendships, people rejected, people accepted. You were close with some, not. It never bothered. I was very carefree. It was later on that I started getting entanglement, because the desire began. I wanted to find a girlfriend. I wanted to find my life partner. I wanted very meaningful or close relationships that matter. That's where, when I brought in that element that I wanted to find, lots of confusion started occurring, a lot of entanglement started occurring. So one of the things I've understood, it was a 10-year struggle, of going through up and down. And what I've actually learned is that friendships is a very natural way of being. Like, I'm in a housing complex. I see the kids here. They just come, they just talk, they just run around. Somebody comes, doesn't, some next day somebody doesn't come. It's all fine. But when the entanglement begins, you're like I've seen this in myself. When I started getting entangled in a relationship, it could be a girlfriend or it could just be a close friend. Then suddenly you want more time with that person. That's when the problem started coming for me, because when I wanted more time with this person, when somebody was, let's say, interacting with me, I disregarded it. I was like so occupied with this person that I lost, touch with others who were trying to be friends with. There was a lot of bias. There was exactly what you're saying. So the way I've developed it, and also I was a very intense person. Okay, that led to more entanglement. The way I developed it is, slowly I learned to maintain my intensity but step back, and I started interacting back with my same old thing of school and college. I started interacting with a lot of people. Okay, yes, it was important to find my life partner. Yes, it was important to have a few close relationships, but I didn't bring in the level of intensity and that fanaticism that it has to be found, this person I have to be close and all that. The more I relaxed, okay, the more I relaxed, and I had a good role model on this. I'll give you a few examples. Once, beyond college, a couple of years later, my cousin got married. Okay, and she's very close to me. She's like my eldest sister. She came home with her husband. Now, immediately when I saw him, I actually was fascinated with this person. He was like about 40. He had a late marriage. He was 40 and very cool. And that day, I think the other people were busy. So I started chatting with him. And what I understood with him is that carefreeness. He was a prof in Loyola College at that point of time, and then he went abroad. He was very carefree, very easy to talk with. I had a couple of hours conversation where I hit a great friendship and bonding in just those 2.5 hours. And after that, I didn't meet him for several years. So that sense of being very relaxed, that sense of interacting with different people and allowing that natural affinity with some, generic relationship with some is what I have seen. To get more specific, Vivek, to the question that you asked, I don't know your context, but to get more specific, entanglements is what spoils relationships, and that's the same thing I told with jealousy also. The moment you start getting entangled with few or many, slowly energy gets depleted because you are thinking of that person most of the time. I'm not saying it's you, I'm saying in general, okay? When we are thinking of somebody most of the time, you're not able to work. You're not able to, be creative. And that's a tremendous loss of energy. So that's where the step number 3 that I've said, be centered on self, is a very, very important lesson that I've learned. Not selfish. I don't mean selfish. I mean be centered on your own self. So, for example, your own depth of heart, your own aspiration, that really has made a difference. Like right now, there are very close people in my life, my family, my friends. I guide a lot of people. But to be honest with you, the moment I notice that I'm overly thinking of them, I know that slowly my attention is going there, which means I won't be anchored. Bringing the anchor back to self is one of the major things I've understood, Vivek. Does that make sense? Does that add to what you had? Is there any further question?
Yes, that makes sense.
Any other questions? Anything else you want to ask?
No, as of now, no.
Thank you so much, Vivek. Yeah. Okay. So anybody else who's listening on the chat, if you want to on the on the LinkedIn event stream, live streaming, if there's any question, put it on chat. If not, I'll give a couple of examples, and maybe we can do a short process also. I'll just wait for 30 seconds. If there's a question, I'll go with it. Otherwise, I'll guide you through a process. So we can just do this experientially and see. Okay. So I know some of you are going to hear this as a recording, and some of you are, listening to it now. Either way, we'll just do a short process, eyes closed, maybe about 5 minutes. Okay. We just go through these 4 steps in a very simple way. Just close your eyes, and we'll just do this process. Just close your eyes and think of a person you either feel currently jealous of. Um, by the way, I have seen a lot of spiritual people also jealous. There's nothing wrong in jealousy, it's a sweet emotion. So, for example, if the master is alive, there's always a fight, who is more close to the master, who the master calls, and stuff like that. It's always like that. Or if there's a teacher, uh, recently, there was this young boy who was like about 8 years old, and he was telling his grandfather, the grandfather was spending more time with him. His brother was like in 12th standard. Grandfather was spending more time with his young boy, but he went and told his grandfather that it looks like you like my brother more than me. Grandfather was aghast. He said, like, why? Because you always keep telling me that I should be like him, that, here, look how he is studying, and I'm this naughty boy. So maybe you like him better. And the grandfather went and said, no, I actually like you also. It's just that I'm giving you examples of how you can be. So jealousy is there all throughout. And it's a very beautiful, sweet emotion as far as we understand what we really want. In this case, the young boy wanted more time with the grandfather, and that's all that it is. And if you just don't get lost into the interpersonal entanglements, he could directly go for his want. Go to the grandfather and say, "Look, grandpa, I want another half an hour with you." And most probably the grandfather will give. So that's all that it is. So we'll just do a short exercise. Think of somebody or something that you're jealous of. And if you don't have anything in the recent past, You can go to an earlier time where you are jealous of somebody. Slowly drop awareness of the person. So, for example, you are thinking of Ram, and Ram has a particular way of being or speaking or doing something, and you don't even name it as jealousy, but you feel a certain awe, you feel a certain sense of wonder, which is also jealousy, in a way, positive way of looking at it. And you feel like, what if I can be like that? Okay, that's also the positive side of jealousy. Okay, so like that, think of a person where you are jealous about, in a one end of the spectrum way, or in awe, and then drop your awareness of that person, forget about that person, and only focus on the quality of that person, which leaves you in awe. Sharing from my own personal examples, when I was in awe, like if I did not differentiate the quality from the person, I've made enormous errors in my life: business errors, work errors, and personal errors. Many a time I got entangled as personal relationships, especially with potential girlfriends in my earlier time. At work also, the moment I got awed about a person and just linked, and I did not just look at it separately, sometimes I've gone overboard, got entangled. Like, say, from a work context, I really betted on this person that, even though there were signs that they were missing something, my eyes were biased. So you can be biased with awe also, is what I'm saying. Okay, always we need to be neutral so that we see rightly and do the right action and guide rightly. So step back from the person for a moment, and whatever you're in awe about that person, or whatever you're jealous of, isolate the quality or the skill or the talent or something that they have. Shift your awareness to you. It's very important that we don't overthink of people. We are centered. I'm not saying disconnecting from people. We can interact with everybody, but our referral point can be self. And in another session, I'll talk about having the referral point as the purpose, the idea that we want to manifest in the collective. If we hold these two as the focus, then we can interact with everybody as we wish in a non entangled, neutral, and very, very close ways. So bring the focus back to yourself and hold that aspiration within you. Whatever quality that the person had, you connect to that quality, but at its highest level. Say, for example, the person was able to do something or had a quality that you really like. So, for example, very centered. Now, now you have isolated that quality. Take it to its highest, not even that level that the person had, but you may have read about it or seen a bit more about it. Take that quality or the skill to its highest and the best level, and just connect to it for 45 seconds. You're connecting to the quality in a universal way, not just the way the person held, but even better, even higher in its purest form. And if you're actually doing it, not just listening, if you're actually doing it, you will see that the jealousy or the wow has completely shifted. Because earlier, if you're jealous, you lose your energy. Now you've shifted it, and now you're in touch with that aspired quality or skill. And now just look at it. The fourth step. How can you learn this quality more? Who should you talk to? What book should you read? What skill can you develop so that you can go closer and closer to that quality and skill? Be with it for a minute. Now, if you are aware even a little bit, you will find that you're more centered. Now you can go back and interact to the same person with whom you were wowed or jealous, but from a slightly different poise. The poise now is you're not empty. You're not just blindly seeking, as sometimes a jealous state could leave you in, without shifting it to the aspiration and self. Now I can go back to the same person and interact, But inside my heart and mind is filled with the aspiration and the responsibility and the accountability that this is also my aspiration. And I'm going to find ways of discovering how to, let's say, even acquire a particular a position, even acquiring a particular object or getting that quality or skill. It's my aspiration, and I'm taking responsibility. And I'm also interacting with you who seem to hold it at a greater level at this point of time. Now it's a lovely interaction. And that's a beautiful experience of the title that we gave to this. Jealousy is a sweet experience. Jealousy is a sweet experience. It's a sweet emotion of aspiration and expression, because now you're learning how to get that state or that skill, and you're learning to mutually learn with that person and other people also who are other sources of that same knowledge or skill or quality, and you're going to share it with the world. So this is a simple sharing, something that I have unconsciously or semi-consciously done over the years. And like this, we will do a few explorations. If there's anything, put it on chat. I'll take the question, or if not, you can explore this in your own way. And if there's any learning, share it back to us. Okay. Thank you so much, and bye bye till we meet soon.